Welcome back. Things are just getting good. Seems like your guest is waiting. Isn't it about time? Yeah, that's certainly how it seems, haha. Tomitake-san headed off towards her and seemed to apologize for making her wait. We all shouted stuff at Tomitake-san. Each time we did, he looked back and waved his hand. Eventually, he faded into the darkness of the night, out of sight. Same. It was quite the casual farewell. This wasn't the first time any of us had seen someone off. They had done the same thing many times before. He's gone. Well, it's about time we take off too. Rika-chan had to stay behind with the other committee members, since they were having a meeting. Satoko was tagging along with her. I headed back home with the usual suspects. The walk back was quite lively, with talk of the day's war stories. Should have done this, should have done that kind of stuff. Nena and I parted ways with Mion, and then it was just the two of us. Then we got to my house, and I parted ways with Nena as well. It's already pretty late. Are you all right by yourself? Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. It's close. I'm going to run too. As you do. If you run into some weirdo, just yell. If someone does come, will you come and save me, maybe? Maybe? If I hear you. Oh, okay. I'll scream loud enough so you can hear me. Merrily spinning her arms around at high speed, Nena dashed off. She was fine. In that mode, not even an adult could stand against her. Nena's cheerful presence disappeared and it finally became quiet again. The curse that not a single person even whispered about. The more I learned about it tonight, the more unsettling it became. Now that's right, we were talking about the curse last episode. It didn't show on any of their faces, but they were probably all quite concerned about it as well. But if nothing happens tonight, then it all ends up being just crazy talk. Nothing will happen. Nothing bad. Nothing at all. What's wrong, Keiichi? Why are you standing in a place like that? Come inside. You'll catch a cold. It was my mum. Did you go, Mum? To the Watanagashi festival? In the end, your father didn't wake up, so I missed it. Oh, well, that sucks. A little disappointing. Mum stuck her tongue out with a bit of an embarrassed look on her face. Oop, chapter end. Ooh, you have received new tips. Mr. and Mrs. Hojo's falling incident. I was reading that. Alright, let's check them out. Whoa, we got a lot of new things. We got 4. Alright, well, looks like the bulk of this episode is going to be learning about lore. Good thing I love lore. Alright, from the June 1980 edition. I did not even exist. On the afternoon of XX at 2 p.m, office employee XXXX and his wife XXXX of Hinamizawa village in Shishibone Prefecture disappeared after falling 27 meters from the observatory platform in Shirakawa Prefecture. Police and firefighters searched downstream and discovered the body of XXXX at around 7 p.m. that evening. His wife has yet to be found. His wife has an extra X now. The search has run into difficulties due to the effects of Typhoon 3 from the previous day. Damn typhoons. It appeared a railing at the observatory that the XX's leaned on had broken, causing him to fall. The groundskeeping staff was questioned by the police in regards to facility deterioration and if park maintenance was performed properly. Oh, well that was quick. Alright, the terminal illness death. From the June 1981 edition, I still didn't exist. On the afternoon of XX, around 10 PM in the X-district of Hinamizawa village in Shishibone Prefecture, the Shinto priest of the Furude shrine passed away after an existing condition he was recovering from suddenly worsened. Parties close to the deceased said he was suffering from anxiety issues, same, concerning the festival, which was to be held that day. Also, after XXX's death and his wife XXX went missing, leaving behind a farewell note. The police and local youth association continued the search. However, given the presence of the farewell message and the fact that the Onikakushi marsh is said to be bottomless, they have run into difficulties. Sounds like a challenge. Oh, that was quick. Housewife murder. It wasn't reported in the newspaper. Seriously? Alright. Radio log. This is Okinomiya Station, calling Unit 3. Unit 3, please respond. This is Unit 3, loud and clear. Backup is heading your way. Hold position until further instructions. Over. Roger. Unit 3 acknowledged. Requesting no headlights. Requesting radio silence. Station, the doctor has arrived. They want to carry it away. What's the order? Over. Acknowledged. Leave it to the doctor. Affirmative. Understood. Backup has arrived. Shouldn't we let them take a photo first? I think the Vic is done for. Okay. Mysterious. Continue. Alright, let's head back in. That went far quicker than I was expecting from the previous tips. Good morning. Nice job yesterday, Kei-chan. You didn't do so badly yourself, Mion. Yesterday was fun. Oh, that's right. Keiichi-kun, thank you very much. For Mr. Bear. I'm glad you like it. Don't use it as a pincushion though. Haha, you're not my supervisor. I wouldn't. Still chatting happily, we entered the classroom. But the moment I stepped into the room, a splashing sound and a nasty sensation. It was a bucket filled to the brim with water. And unfortunately, my foot stepped right into it. Well, I mean, at least it was just your foot. Ha-ha! My now, how diligent of you to mop the floor this morning. Clump, clump, clump. Whip, whiff. Bwah! Keiichi-san flicked my forehead. You should set a more brutal trap next time. Seeing that, then I began to swoon as Mion looked on dejectedly. Everything was the same as always. Or was it? Everybody was there and nothing felt out of place. Or was it? The uncertainties I'd had in the back of my mind since yesterday had vanished. What is it, Keiichi-kun? Didn't get enough sleep, maybe? Maybe? I slept like a log. But if you want, I'll do a reenactment during class. You shouldn't do that. Mion alerted us that the teacher was coming, so everyone shuffled off to their seats. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday was the festival. Thank you to all the people who stayed until the very end to help clean up. We were all slackers, so none of us actually helped clean up. Actually, I had a feeling that the only thing we did was run around the festival and cause a ruckus. Okay then. This time of year, you might see some people here from out of town doing interviews about the festival for magazines. I thought it was the usual stuff, so I was going to tune it out, but then I noticed the different tone in her voice and started paying attention. You may be asked questions. Please don't say anything silly or something that could be taken the wrong way. Do you understand? In unison, everyone replied, "Yes, ma'am." What she'd said was really vague, but I understood what she was trying to say. After all, this was the 5th year. There were probably lots of third-rate reporters pouring in, hoping something regarding the curse had happened. It did nothing but perpetuate the village's bad image. She was saying, "Don't spout stupid shit you think is funny. Haha, watch me." And now I was one of the ones who needed to keep their mouths shut. I found it rather cute how I felt a sense of unity from such a trite thing, if I do say so myself. I was summoned to club activities after school. Since everybody was still pretty tired from yesterday, we just spent the day relaxing Yeah, that wasn't happening. Today, let's play a classic game of deduction. How about this one? Oh, a game from overseas. Looks interesting. The instructions are in English, but the rules don't seem that hard. I won't lose, you hear? I'm not too bad at this game. It seemed that Lena didn't handle this kind of game very well. The rules are, the person who can match the murderer, weapon, and the scene of the crime wins. Haha. There were 3 kinds of cards, comprised of suspects, weapons, and locations. I could see that the names Mion and Rika were written on the suspect cards. Oh, a card with my name on it as well. There are plenty of different weapons too, like knives, axes, and poison. The locations are pretty nice too, like the living room, the study, and the courtyard. So basically, you take out one of each of the cards. These are the answer cards. So we shuffle the remaining cards and hand them out. We ask each other about the cards and figure out the right ones. Ah, I see. So the cards nobody has are the true perpetrators. Then you raise your hand if you know the answer. The game ends and we check if the answer is correct. If you're right, then you get a point. If you're wrong, then you lose a point. Since the game ends, even if no one gets it right, all the cards are gathered up and redistributed. You'll learn as you go. You really have to use your brain. You'll get confused if you don't take notes. The rest you can figure out by playing. So, Mion. What's the penalty this time? Everyone directed their attention to Mion. Let's see. We're all still a little tired from yesterday, so maybe we'll take it easy with a gopher penalty. You'll be asked to rush out and buy stuff for everyone. So just being asked to go buy stuff like drinks and candy, I guess. I feel like the penalty today is pretty simple. I wonder, is it really? Is Keiichi-san thinking what I'm thinking? I think I am, B2. Yeah, you don't know what you'll have to go buy. I'm betting Mion would send out whoever loses to buy stuff like hemorrhoid cream or happy family planning manual or other crazy stuff. Gotta get that hemorrhoid cream. The cards were lightly shuffled and passed out to each player. The real perpetrator, the correct weapon, and the scene of the murder have been taken out. So that means all the cards I have in my hand are innocent cards. Then I'll go first, since I'm the club president, I guess. Well then, Mion, knife, study. You pick one suspect, weapon, and murder scene and ask each person. If you have any of those cards, then you must say, I have one. However, you don't need to say which one you have. Yeah, I got it. Me too. I have one. Oh my, all of them are here. 3 people answered when she asked if they had Mion, knife, and study. So that means that Mion and knife and study are all in the clear. Gotta jot that down. Then I'll go. Lena, axe, lounge. Indeed. Only 2 people said they had one. So it means out of Nena, Axe, and Lounge, one of them is correct and is part of the crime. No, wait. Even if they say they have one, they don't have to say how many. It's possible that either Satoko or Rika-chan has 2 of the cards. Well, Kei-chan is next. Go ahead. Wait just a little. I'm still sorting things out. The game has me thinking more than I thought. Oh man, this feels like it's going to be tough. Alright, now I have the criminal. What? Already? Here I am spinning around in circles and Mion just now raises her hand. The murderer is Rika-chan. In the infirmary with the poison. Well, Mion drew the cards from the box and we checked to see if her deduction was right. You were right! All I needed was one more hand. I couldn't tell whether it was poison or a pistol. I never use a pistol. I like killing them slowly with poison. Indeed. Rika-chan said such a hugely terrifying thing with such a sweet little face. Everyone was making a commotion about how they almost had it. Nena and I were left out in the cold though. How did you do, Keiichi-kun? I couldn't get it at all. Don't worry, I had no idea either. How can you both be so unsure? You'll both end up in last place together at this rate. That's even worse. Going off buying something together as a couple. What if we ended up having to buy the Happy Family Planning Guide? Oh no. Whatever would we do? I can tell from Keiichi's expression that he's not very good at this game. What? That's not true. I'll show you the true power of Sherlock Maebara during the next round. Indeed. My, that sounds just wonderful. I shall give you quite the thrashing. This music is jamming. After that, I managed to somewhat grasp the trick behind the game, but I was still always a step or 2 behind. I saw that Mion was somehow gleaning information from how the others were asking their questions. That level of experience was just too much. The only way I could stage a comeback was if I became ruthless. I tossed out the simple concept of deduction and switched over to the thought process needed to win. The important thing isn't to find out the criminal, it's to win at the game. Eureka! Shing shing! Sorry, need to go to the bathroom. Take your time and squeeze out a nice one. Mi-chan, that's gross. I had them hold off the game and headed down the hall. The air was crisp. It showed just how stagnant the air in the classroom was from our body heat. On the school grounds, some of our classmates were still playing around. After spending some time cooling my head, Nena had made her way over towards me. Keiichi-kun, did you call for me? Yeah, I did. Wait, what? When? As I got up from my seat, I winked over at Nena. Oh, I'm glad it worked out. I don't want to waste much time, so I'll get right to the point. Nena, what's your record at this game we're playing today? She was taken aback. After a moment, she hesitantly opened her mouth. Well, all losses. Why do you ask, I wonder? I could tell from how apprehensively she was playing. The way things are going, I will as well. I can't figure out a way to pull off a last-minute comeback on this one. So, I guess both of us will be taking that penalty. Hey, don't accept defeat already. How about we win this? Both of us. But how can we? I brought my lips up to Nena's ear. Whisper, 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 whisper. Huh? Is that allowed? Did you forget, Lena? The second rule of our society. Do everything in your power to obtain victory. Yeah, I'll try my best. Our plan of attack was quite a rudimentary one. At the beginning of the game, everyone would be focused on their own hand for a while, taking notes and whatnot. Since our seats were right next to each other, we'd reveal our hands to each other. If we did it under the desk, then nobody would know. We'd begin the game with twice as much information as everyone else. Having this much information would mean we'd need to investigate less. With this sort of plan of attack, we start off with a big lead over the other guys. Yeah, with this we can probably win. We both smirked at each other. If I was the shady businessman, then Lena was the corrupt senator. Heh heh, pleasure doing business with you. Then let's hurry back. We'll work as a duo to surprise everyone. Hey now, there's no point if we go back together. It would be like flat out telling them that we made a little arrangement. Oh, sorry, then what should we do? Go back ahead of me, Lena. I'll take my time coming back after washing my face or something. Okay, got it. Lena turned around and headed back to the classroom. I guess I should wait a little bit longer before going back. If I went too soon, it wouldn't seem like I went to the bathroom. If Mion or one of them suspected something, then there could be problems. Well, they'd figure it out sooner or later, because both Lena and I would start winning over and over again. Both Lena and I will have earned enough points to avoid being the losers by the time Mion realized what was happening. Excellent. Not bad at all. Mayabara-kun, may I have a moment? Huh? It's the teacher. Man, things were just getting good. What is it? I'm a bit... You have a guest. Please make your way to the entrance. A guest? It's not like I own a hotel. They have been waiting. Please hurry. It was rather unfortunate that I'd have someone waiting on me right before my big match, but I was more interested in the unexpected guest. I didn't want to waste I didn't want to waste any time, so I decided to take care of it quickly. The entryway was a heavy contrast from the hot sunlight and deep shadows. Hey, there he is. Waiting there, looking uncomfortably warm, was a middle-aged man, his tie sloppily loosened and his jacket tucked underneath his arm. Are you Mayabara-san? Keiichi Mayabara-san? There was no question that he wasn't a resident of Hinamizawa, and that this was without a doubt the first time he had met me. Ever since I met Tomitake-san, I'd been running into so many middle-aged men. What? That's right. Who might you be? I have the AC on in my car. Let's talk there. It's a bit hot here, don't you think? The man, completely ignoring my question, pointed over to his car parked near the gate and began walking. You've got to be kidding me. I had no intention of going along with some geezer I didn't even know, and he was asking me to get in his car with him? Seriously. Safety first. I'm not going to bite. Come on now. He opened the back door of his car and called me over. That's a no from me. I didn't like this old man, but I wanted to know what this was all about. This is how people die, Keiichi. Even while knowing that conversations that start out like this have never led to anything good. Indeed. The inside of his car was pretty cool. Cars with air conditioners were supposed to be a luxury. My dad didn't have one in his car, at least. Please let me know if it's too cold for you, okay? I have a habit of cranking it all the way up. So, what business do you have with me? Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark in the same way he did to me and start my own line of questioning. He pulled out a notepad from his pocket and took out a picture that was stuck between the pages. On it was the face of a pretty goofy-looking guy. If you know anything related to this individual, then please tell me. Who the heck is this? I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who he was from this expressionless picture that looked like it was taken at the DMV. There were scribbles on his shirt done in permanent marker, starting with yours, Mayabara-san, and quite a few of your classmates signed as well. Dun dun dun. Huh? This is Tomitake-san? There was no hint of his usual unreliable and easygoing personality in this photo. It was an expressionless, half-asleep face. Then do you know this woman? Even before seeing it, I had a good idea of who it was. I don't remember her name, but she was some lady who was with Tomitake-san last night. I didn't know what her name was, but I did know she was a resident of Hinamizawa. When was the last time you saw these two? The night of the Watanagashi. We spoke. They seemed pretty close, I guess. Did anything bother you about them? Anything is fine. Go ahead and say it. Being asked for every little detail is very troubling, honestly. I had a pretty good idea of who this guy was by now. Did something happen to them? There was no response to my inquiry. Thus, I replied to that silence in kind. I was pretty sure, no, certain, that this guy was a cop. Then why? Why was he asking about Tomitake-san? Did something happen to him? More importantly, why me? Shouldn't there have been plenty of other people who knew more about him than I did? The roar of the air conditioner felt unbearably loud. After a long pause, he finally spoke again. You've moved here just recently, isn't that right, Mayabara-san? Are you aware, I wonder, about the stories of Oyashiro-sama? My heart began to race. I'm pretty terrible at hiding things. It probably showed on my face. Not at all. If you don't, then that's fine. Well, I have heard of it. Tomitake-san told me, actually. How much do you know about it? The dismemberment killing, the accidental death, the death by illness followed by suicide, and the lady who was beaten to death. The incidents that always happen the day of the Watanagashi, ending in suspicious deaths. I didn't think Tomitake-san would have kept anything from me. I think that was everything. No, rather, I didn't want to think there was anything more than that. Do you know of that, well, curse, Mayabara-san? Feel free to speak openly about it. I don't believe in it. My answer was instant. It wasn't so much that I didn't believe in it, as I was on the verge of believing. I wanted to clear away my own doubts. That was the more prominent feeling. Really? Then that's great. Guess you really are one of those city-raised boys. So what if I don't believe? I have friends waiting, so could you get to the point? The man in this picture is dead. Tomitake-san. My mind went blank. Huh? What happened to Tomitake-san? It would seem that he died last night. That was the night of the Watanagashi. Do you understand the implications behind that, Mayabara-san? Implications? Not any for the cause of his death or the reasons behind it. The real problem was that he died on the day of the Watanagashi. Meaning, this year, the curse of Oyashiro-sama had once again. The death of Jiro Tomitake is still confidential. You can understand why this is, right? I didn't want to understand why. Please tell me. Tell me what happened. It was rather peculiar. It might be a little too graphic for someone born and raised in Hinamizawa. It was a roundabout way of saying it, but it caused me to doubt whether or not I wanted to hear the rest. I would only regret forcing myself to learn of something I shouldn't. Or at least, that's how I figured I would feel if I listened to the rest. One of our patrol cars discovered the body on the way back from security detail at the festival. It was late, about 5 till midnight. The location was, you know where the road into town becomes paved, right? Down past the slope, on the shoulder, around there. There were few streetlights on that road. Its pitch-black darkness was only broken by the lights of passing cars and the moon. It was a stroke of luck that Tomitake-san was spotted collapsed on the shoulder of the road. Tomitake-san was face down, covered in blood. Blood and muck covered the asphalt. We thought it was a hit and run at first. But when the officer checked to see if he was still alive, he quickly noticed something abnormal. His throat had been ripped open. From a knife or something? No. Nails. Nails? As in fingernails? With those, he clawed through. From the coroner's report, it was revealed that it was with his own nails. Huh? What does that mean? Basically, it means it wasn't a murder. It was suicide. Tomitake-san thought there was a reason to tear open his own throat. As hard as he could, with his own nails. Tore through the skin until he started to bleed. And even then, Tomitake-san didn't stop. He continued clawing. With enough intensity that it could have peeled off his nails. Still clawing. Still clawing. Then, as his nails reached those vital arteries that you should never damage, he continued clawing. Splat. Blood splattered on the ground around him. As he bled, while gasping for breath, he collapsed, his body spasmed, and he died in agony. Well, that was graphic. We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. But this, it was a suicide. I'd never heard of such a thing. This unnatural way of dying. If this wasn't a mysterious death, then what was? The way he died, in these 5 years, his death most resembled that of a curse. As if to show both myself and Tomitake-san, who proclaimed there was no such thing as a curse, that we were wrong. There were a few more suspicious details. From his body chemistry, perspiration, epilation, and so on, we concluded that he was in a state of hysteria right before his death. That was a given. It's hard to believe someone could be in a sound state of mind while clawing out their throat. Wounds on his hands matched a discarded piece of lumber found nearby. There are traces of where he struck trees and the guardrails within. Tomitake-san's blood was found all over the place. Meaning that while tearing at his own throat, he was swinging around a piece of lumber. There were external injuries, which were not self-inflicted, discovered on Tomitake-san. There is a high probability Tomitake-san was assaulted. The external injuries suggest there may be multiple suspects. To summarize, Tomitake-san was surrounded and attacked. While wandering the night roads in a state of panic, after being cornered, he picked up a piece of lumber and tried fighting back. Somewhere in there, he began madly tearing at his own throat, clawing at it. Then he died. The presumed time of death was around 9:23 p.m., meaning it occurred right after you finished talking to Tomitake-san at the festival. Everyone signed Tomitake-san's shirt, then parted ways. Right after that, oh yeah, he should have been with a woman. What about her? She's missing. She hasn't shown up to work and she hasn't returned home either. There is a very high probability that she was involved in this incident. For a while, I could only gaze off into space. I never would have thought that something unfortunate happening to somebody close to me could affect me this deeply. The time I had spent with Tomitake-san was short, but we went to the same festival, spent time together, and took part in the same competition. He was one of us. We have been continuing the investigation on various fronts, but when it comes to Oyashiro-sama's curse, the villagers here aren't very cooperative. That I knew well. I would have been none the wiser if not for Tomitake-san, the outsider, telling me. So that's why you came to me? Because I'm not originally from Hinamizawa? I should have been angry that that was the reason he wanted to hear what happened from me. If things go the way they have been, then the conclusion would be that Jiro Tomitake died from Oyashiro-sama's curse. He turned away from me and gazed far off into the distance. The night of the Watanagashi, during that sacred ritual, he callously snapped off photos, angering Oyashiro-sama. That's how it's going to turn out. There's no way Oyashiro-sama would inflict divine punishment on Tomitake-san. Tomitake-san had to have been killed by humans, and a cowardly group no less. There's no way I'm going to let this end up being the fault of some curse. I think so as well. There's no such thing as divine punishment, or curses. The tense mood was cut with the man's hearty laugh. That's how this must be, Maebara-san. Cooperation from individuals in Hinamizawa who don't believe in the curse is indispensable. Understand? Neither Tomitake-san nor I believed in curses. But with the way things were going, it would just end up with Tomitake-san's death marking the 5th year. Which would mean that Hinamizawa had rejected Tomitake-san. That was something I couldn't allow. Tomitake-san was one of us. He didn't live in Hinamizawa, but he came every single year. In a sense, he was more of a resident than I was. There was no way that Tomitake-san could have been cursed by Oyashiro-sama. But there is nothing I can do to help. I have no idea what happened that night either. No. If you see or hear something that draws your attention, then that is enough. If I see or hear, he was talking in the future tense. Things or people or rumors, anything is fine. I don't care if they're unfounded. Here, this is my number. If I'm not there, then just leave a message with whoever picks up. He handed me a piece of paper with his number on it, but I hesitated for a second. If I took it, then, whether I wanted to or not, I'd be mired knee-deep in this matter. Please help me solve these questions surrounding Tomitake-san's unfortunate death. That's right. Why was I hesitating? I needed to find the murderer who killed my friend. I snatched up the piece of paper as a satisfied grin spread across his face. Everything we spoke of today is a secret. Please keep this confidential. Understood. From your friends as well. Especially from Sonozaki-san and Furude-san. Please do not inform them. Sonozaki? You mean Mion? Why? Are you saying they have something to do with the incident? With my friends' names brought up so abruptly, and being told to keep it a secret from them, I became rather angry. This is what they call investigative privilege, I suppose. Don't play games with me. Mion is a close friend of mine. I snapped at him, but he didn't seem to especially be offended. I wouldn't mind telling you, but it may just upset you. Say it." He hesitated a little. Turning his gaze to the outside of the car, he began to speak after thinking for a bit. "There is a possibility that the string of incidents happening here in Hinamizawa are a result of a village conspiracy." There's no way that could be right. Give me a break. First of all, is there any proof of that? No evidence. Also, each of the cases were resolved, and none of the perpetrators had any direct connection to the village. Then how did you come to that conclusion? Every year, the enemies of the village die on the day of the Watanagashi. Don't you think that's enough reason to suspect something? Only the residents of Hinamizawa felt that the day of the Watanagashi was sacred. So basically, because incidents happened on that day, it was somehow related to Hinamizawa. First, it was the dam construction foreman. Then it was a villager that supported it. Those the village hold a grudge against die one after the other from mysterious causes. The means are different, but in the end, the result is the same. Unfounded, unreasonable suspicion. But it couldn't just be shrugged off. So, the victims after that, what about the Shinto priest and his wife's death? They weren't enemies of the village. The villagers had expected leadership from the Shinto priest at the time of the dam dispute, but he wasn't proactive, so there was a faction of villagers who harbored ill will towards him as a result. Ill will? It's not like he did anything bad to the village. What about that housewife after that? Did she die just because she was the wife of the brother of a supporter? That's such a trivial reason to kill someone. And what about Tomitake-san? He's not affiliated with the dam project at all. Was he killed just because he was an outsider? In the beginning, it fell on those related to the dam project, but as the years went on, the enemy threshold of the victims had become much lower. Well, that's the scary part. The bar keeps getting lower. What's scary about that? It means it's not just enemies of the village anymore. Just being an outsider is reason enough. Then, next year's victim, they're just going to be picked out of the village outsider pool. It might be a person that just moved here. What do you mean by? I swallowed my words. Here in Hinamizawa, the ones who would be considered the most outside would be my family. I was proof enough of that, wasn't I? I still couldn't really remember the names of the people I passed by. Then, the next victims. My family. Was he saying it was going to be me? But what does that have to do with Mion? I can't go into details, but the Sonozaki family led the dam protests. Quite fervently so. This is also true of Mion Sonozaki-san herself. She has quite a few misdemeanor and obstruction of public worker offences on her record because of the protests. I knew Mion knew what it meant to fight. This was the first I'd heard of her family leading the protests, though. Then, well, what did it all mean? Are you saying that Mion's family is involved with this string of incidents? I wouldn't go that far. I'm just saying that if it was a conspiracy, then they'd have the highest probability of being behind it. Not a very clear explanation. It felt like he'd magnificently avoided the details I really wanted to know. We don't know who or how involved anyone is right now. That is exactly why I don't want you to say anything to the villagers. Instead of answering, I gave a very bitter expression. It seemed that he understood it well enough. Then think of it like this. I don't want to worry the villagers who blindly believe it's the curse. How about that? What do you mean, how about that? How should I know? But the reasoning behind wanting me to not carelessly open my mouth about it wasn't too hard to comprehend. The perpetrator was here. It had nothing to do with a curse. He was definitely going to be caught by the police and made to pay for his crimes. And none of the villagers should have anything to do with that process. It may cause those sensitive about the curse to just worry needlessly. Just like everyone kept it from me, so I wouldn't worry about it. Is it now my turn to keep it from them, so they don't have to worry? I was just talking to myself. Unlike me, everyone else had been worrying over these mysterious incidents yearly, and the incident this time probably means a lot more to them. I didn't want to burden them anymore. In the end, everything went as the man had wanted, as insipid as it was, but it couldn't be helped. I understand. I'll keep it to myself. Is that fine? Mr. Oishi from the Okinomiya police station. Why is that name hard for me to say? Okinomiya. You can call me Kura-chan if you want. No. Oishi-san is fine. The way he said it was unpleasant, yet retained hints of politeness. He was the spitting image of a vulgar police officer. Though I've never seen one this bulky before in the cop shows I watch. Rude. I've taken up too much time. Your friends are waiting, aren't they? I should probably let you get back to them. Alright, this is a good stop to end this episode. Woo! We're finally into the meat of the story. Tomitake-san has died. His lady friend is missing. We finally met Oishi-san. Let the fun and games begin. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm excited for what's coming up. I'll see you guys again next time. See ya.